Lockdown! Lockdown! Alarm sounds filled the school as Samuel dropped his cleaning cart and froze in the hallway. For 15 years, no one had given him a second glance. But now, as the armed intruder approached, the quiet janitor's steps changed. Because Samuel Washington's past was darker than anyone could imagine. Samuel Washington, 68 years old, had worked as a janitor at Jefferson High School for 15 years. Every morning he arrived at 6:30 a.m. and left at 5 on Quadpin. With his gray coveralls, plastic name tag, and quiet demeanor, he drew no one's attention. He moved slowly through the corridors, gave way to students, and had only necessary conversations with teachers. He was an invisible man. Students called him Ghost. He never smiled, never joked, never shared personal stories. Teachers called him Sam and greeted him politely. No one wondered where he came from, where he lived, or about his family. He wouldn't tell anyway. He was a simple, quiet, reliable janitor. At least everyone thought so. Principal Martha Richardson found Samuel quiet but dependable. In 15 years, he had never been late, never called in sick, never received a complaint. He was a perfect employee, but she knew nothing personal about him. When Samuel applied for the job, he had provided very little information. Born in Virginia, widowed, no children, retired. His references were checked, his background was clean. No problems. Jefferson High School was located in Riverside, a small town in Virginia. 1,200 students, 80 teachers. A typical American high school campus, wide corridors, lockers, cafeteria, gymnasium, auditorium. Samuel knew every inch of it. In 15 years, he had cleaned every corner. That Tuesday morning was like any other. Samuel arrived at school at 6:30, prepared his cleaning cart. He was vacuuming the main corridor, wiping around the lockers. Students were starting to arrive. They ignored him, and he was careful not to disturb them. At 8:15, the first bell rang. Samuel moved to the cafeteria for post-breakfast cleanup, his usual routine, until everything changed at 9:47 a.m. Alex Morrison, 17 years old, was one of Jefferson High's problematic students. He had been receiving psychiatric treatment for the past 6 months. Problems at home, failure at school, isolation from his peer group. That morning, he came to school with his father, James Morrison's illegal weapons. At 9:47 a.m., he entered through the main entrance. In his hands was an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle, a handgun under his jacket. His eyes were red, his walk determined. He had no specific target. His plan was simple: cause as much damage as possible. Office Secretary Carol Davis saw him first. When she noticed the weapon, she screamed, "Gun! Gun in the building!" The alarm immediately activated. "Lockdown! Lockdown! This is not a drill!" Principal Richardson's voice echoed from the speakers. "All students and staff, lock your doors immediately, turn off lights, stay away from windows. Law enforcement has been notified." Samuel was in the main corridor near B Block at that moment. When he heard the alarm, he dropped his cleaning cart and stopped. This was the most serious alarm he had heard in 15 years. Alex began advancing down the main corridor. His first victim would be the office secretary, but Carol had managed to lock the door and hide. Alex was angry, confused. He continued walking down the corridor. The moment Samuel saw Alex, he understood the situation. The weapon in the young man's hands, his way of walking, the expression in his eyes. The memory of his training from 30 years ago came flooding back. Because before Samuel Washington was a janitor, he had worked in a very different job. From 1975 to 1995, he had served in the CIA's Special Activities Division, Covert Operations Specialist. For 20 years, he had conducted secret operations in the world's most dangerous places: Afghanistan, Iraq, Nicaragua, Angola. His identity was classified. His very existence was a state secret. He had taken early retirement in 1995. Official reason? Family matters. Real reason? PTSD and moral breakdown. He had seen too much, done too much. He wanted to retreat into silence. He had moved to Riverside, left behind the Samuel Williams identity, and became Samuel Washington. The CIA had protected him with a program similar to witness protection. New identity, new life, past completely hidden. But now, that past was returning. When Samuel saw Alex approaching, muscle memory kicked in. His steps changed. He was no longer walking like a 68-year-old janitor. He was making tactical movements. Alex saw Samuel. The old janitor was standing in the corridor looking at him. "Get out of my way, old man," Alex shouted, pointing the rifle at Samuel. Samuel didn't move. He spoke in a calm, calculated voice. "Son, you don't want to do this." "Shut up, move." Samuel slowly raised his hands. "I know you're hurt. I know you're angry, but this won't fix anything." Alex's hand was trembling. Talking to an old janitor wasn't part of his plan. "You don't know anything about me." "I know more than you think," said Samuel. There was an authority in his voice that he hadn't possessed in previous years. "I've seen this before. Different places, different reasons. But the pain is always the same." Alex was confused. What was this man saying? Samuel took a step forward. "What's your name, son?" "Stay back." "My name is Samuel. I've worked here for 15 years. I've watched kids like you grow up." Alex's eyes filled with tears. "Kids like me? You don't know anything about kids like me." "Lonely kids," said Samuel. "Angry kids. Kids who feel like nobody sees them." Samuel was saying the right things. Alex's anger was turning into trembling. "I see you, son. I've been watching you for months, walking alone, eating alone, sitting alone in the cafeteria." This was true. Samuel had indeed noticed Alex. He observed many students from a distance, professional habit. "So what? Nobody cares anyway." "I care," said Samuel, "and right now, you're the most important person in this building." Alex wavered. He lowered the rifle slightly. Samuel continued, "But if you pull that trigger, everything changes. For you, for your family, for everyone here. You become someone you're not." "Maybe I already am someone I'm not." Samuel took another step closer. Now, he was 3 meters away. Dangerous distance, but necessary distance. "Son, I've seen what violence does to people. I've seen what it does to those who commit it. It doesn't heal anything. It just creates more pain." Alex started crying. I just want it to stop. I want the pain to stop." "I know. I understand that pain." Samuel really did understand. His own PTSD, his own dark years, suicidal thoughts, isolation, anger. "But this isn't the way, son. There are other ways." Alex lowered the weapon completely. "What other ways? Nobody listens to me. Nobody cares." "I'm listening now, and I care." Samuel took the final step. Now he was close enough to touch Alex. "I'm going to help you, but first, I need you to give me that weapon." Alex hesitated. Samuel slowly extended his hand. "Trust me, son. I've got you." Alex handed the rifle to Samuel. Samuel took it safely, expertly engaged the safety, removed the ammunition. In 30 seconds, he had neutralized the weapon. "Thank you," said Samuel. "You just made the most important decision of your life." Alex collapsed to the floor and started crying. Samuel crouched beside him, placed his hand on his shoulder. "It's going to be okay. We're going to get you help." Meanwhile, police had arrived at the school. SWAT team, K-9 units, negotiators. But the crisis was already over. Samuel radioed the school administration, threat neutralized, suspect disarmed, need mental health support, not tactical response. Principal Richardson came to the corridor in amazement. Samuel was sitting with Alex. The weapon had been safely placed at a distance. "Samuel, how did you—" Samuel stood up. He returned to his old posture. "Sometimes kids just need someone to listen, ma'am." Police arrived and took Alex, but they didn't use force. Following Samuel's guidance, they handled it as a mental health crisis, not as a criminal case. After the incident, everyone began looking at Samuel differently. They wondered how he had handled this situation. Sheriff David Turner spoke with Samuel. "That was impressive, Sam. Military background?" Samuel just smiled. "Just experience, Sheriff." Principal Richardson. "Samuel, how did you know what to say?" "Been working with kids for 15 years, ma'am. You learn things." But that night at home, Samuel thought about his past, the most important thing he had learned in his CIA years. Sometimes the best weapon is not a weapon at all. Sometimes it's just understanding. Alex Morrison received treatment, suicide watch, therapy, medication, but he wasn't punished. Thanks to Samuel's testimony, he was processed as a mental health case. 6 months later, Alex found Samuel at school. "Mr. Washington, can I talk to you?" Samuel stopped his cleaning cart. "Of course, son. I wanted to thank you for that day, for stopping me." Samuel smiled. "You stopped yourself, Alex. I just reminded you who you really are." "Who am I?" "A good kid who was hurting. And good kids deserve second chances." Alex's eyes filled with tears. "I've been going to therapy. It's helping. I'm proud of you." "Mr. Washington, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "That day, you seemed different, like you'd done this before." Samuel stopped. A long silence. "Everyone has a past, Alex. Some pasts are complicated." "Were you in the military?" Samuel looked at Alex. The young man was curious, but respectful. "Something like that. But that's not important anymore. What's important is today and tomorrow, and the choices we make." Alex understood. He didn't ask further. "Thank you again, Mr. Washington, for seeing me. Thank you for trusting me, son." After Alex left, Samuel continued pushing his cleaning cart. As he walked down the corridor, he looked at the photos hanging on the walls. Graduating students, success stories, future plans. All of this could have been Alex's too. If he had made a different decision that day, none of this would have been possible. Samuel stopped and took out an old photograph from his pocket. 1987, Afghanistan. Samuel and his CIA team. Young, tough, confident. The man in that photograph seemed very distant now. He put the photograph back in his pocket. That man no longer existed. Now there was Samuel Washington, Jefferson High's janitor, and he was proud of this identity. Because he had learned that day. He had performed his most important operation here. He had saved a life, protected a family from breaking apart, and no secret CIA operation had been this meaningful. That evening as he went home, Samuel smiled. After 15 years, he had finally found his purpose. He had wanted to be invisible, but he had also known how to be visible at the right time. And sometimes, the most important cleaning a janitor can do is cleaning a broken heart.